And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Existenz. Now this is the same review almost of a game that I did about a year ago called X610Z. X6, the letter X, the number 6, the number 10, and then Z, and it came Existenz. Now they're just calling it Existenz in this new box, but it's essentially the same game, kind of, sort of. I had a lot of problems with Existenz when it first came out, and I said so. I thought it was a decent idea, some interesting aspects to the game, but there wasn't enough summons, and so on and so forth. You can watch my video review to see. Well, they've taken it, and they re-released it, and this is a very much improved version of the game. Let's look. There's 4 factions that come with the game: the Arunian Alliance, the Red Barbarian Brotherhood, which looks like they stepped off the red set of the movie Avatar, the Undead Legion, because every game needs undead in it, and the Pirate Confederacy, because every game does need pirates in it. I really think that. But each of these factions starts with what's called a life base. Now, one of the negative things about this game is that they still did not make an effort to make the icons on these cards better to see. I do not understand why, when you design a game, we need a magnifying glass to play your game. But that being said, I mean, they have this big blood 10 at the top and all this space here, which is just completely wasted. And then they put these weenie numbers down here. But, alright, well, you can still play the game. And these numbers down here show the hit points of this summon. They show the attack power of it. They show how far it can move and how far its range is. Those are the 4 numbers on the bottom. And when you have this card in front of you, it's actually going to be represented on the board with this icon. So you're going to start at one of these starting spots here. And you are attempting to get to one of these endpoints elsewhere on the board. And so you'll be moving as the game progresses from dot to dot. If you can get your life base from here or to any of the other end spots, then you will win the game. But as the game progresses, people are going to be playing other summons, which are going to come out, and these summons are going to move around and attack the life bases and attack each other. So, when we look at these cards that are played here, you're going to see that these cards are going to be the attack cards which you attack the opponent with, but they're also pieces on the board. There's different kinds of summons, like for example here we have a Dragonkin Bat, which is a dragon type, which means I'll use the dragon token to put this guy out on the board. Sorry, that wasn't the dragon token. Here's the dragon token. So I can only ever have 1 dragon summon in play. But you have up to 5 other summons. We have an army summon, we have a vessel summon, here's another army summon in case you didn't like the first one, a beast summon, and all these different kinds of summons you can have 1 in play. So you can have up to 6, 5 plus your life base in play, moving around the board. Now the board is kind of funky here, as you can see with all these colored dots. But a few of these dots, some of them have a dot in the middle, which means some cards will affect those spots. The red one means you can't be attacked in those spots, so there's no quick attack to your opponent's base before it even moves off the board type deals. And other spots are warping spots where you can go from one to the other to move across the board. The lines in the board actually matter because when you can move fast, which some of the summons can do, you can never turn on a sharp curve. You have to kind of move past it, and then next turn come down it. And you can't even move and then shoot around the curve. You'd have to move and then next turn come this way and shoot. So the board is actually really ingeniously designed, and it takes sometimes a bit of wrapping your mind what's the best way to move around this very kind of funky board with all these circles going in all these different directions. Gameplay is pretty simple. You have some of these cards here. You can see they're different color. They're crystals. Halos, crystals, boost crystals, Robium crystals. And when you play a card, there's a little icon, once again little, and this shows you what it costs to put that card in play. So this has a little R2, so that means it costs 2 Robium crystals. And so you, for lack of a better term, tap 2 Robium crystals to get that into play. Some cards, like for example this base here, or this summon here, says 2 common and 1 Halo crystal, so I can use 1 Halo's crystal, and then 2 of any other crystal to get these into play. So you can only put out 1 of these each turn, like Magic the Gathering, and you can tap them and get these creatures into play. But the big difference here is that when you put the creatures in play, you're putting them into play with figures rather than using the card. Now, when you take damage, you'll use some damage tokens and put them on the cards themselves to show that they've taken damage. And the game is over in one of several ways. If you destroy your opponent's life base, which is the likely outcome, you win. If your life base gets to one of the ending points, you win. If you run out of cards to play, then you lose. And so you're constantly going for your opponent's life base, trying to attack it. The rules I wanted to point out for this version were very simple and easy to understand. It's a nice rule book with lots of pictures and lots of explanations showing all the different actions that you can take. The game isn't all about summons. There are flux cards that you can play that you can change the course of the game, kind of like interrupts in other games, or catalyst cards that you can put onto your summons to make them more powerful. And each of the decks is different, and because it is a collectible game, you can work with your decks to make them more powerful. And that's how you play the game. Alright, negative stuff first. That print's too tiny on the cards. The game is a bit lucky. It's really difficult to get your life base out. I mean, really difficult to get your life base. It's mostly going to be killing the other person's life base, because there are times where you can just keep moving your summons and clogging up the pathways of your opponents and fighting them and making them summon back. But I said the game's lucky. If you don't draw, sometimes I critically needed a very specific crystal, and I just wasn't able to get it, and it was like, finally I got it. Finally I could put out half the cards my hand needed, a rubium crystal, and for some reason I hadn't drawn a rubium crystal. But that's the kind of problem in all these games, and it's that problem of drawing a card and waiting and playing a card from your hand, the Magic the Gathering, and it's a collectible card game. That's a lot of negatives, but all that being said, it is a fresh idea. Using cards to put pieces on the board, and then using those pieces to attack each other. The board is a very well done board. It's neat. It's kind of not thematic. I don't really understand why. Maybe it's trying to show three-dimensional space with these lines, and then that might make more sense. But it's neat, wonky but neat, and the artwork is good. Although it's your typical futuristic artwork where people still act like it's the 1800s in many ways. But I like the different characters and different themes, and the different ships felt different, and different vessels and dragons as you move them around. And there was a lot of back and forth, and I enjoyed it. I don't love this game, but I do like it, and I think there's a lot of innovative ideas in it. I'm happy with the base set. I don't have any kind of need to go out and buy booster packs. Although I wouldn't mind seeing more starter decks to come and say, oh, here's a new faction, let me try this faction out. So, do I recommend it? Yes, but if you think it sounds like a good game. Well, no joke, you might say, well, yeah, but what I mean is really look at my game description. If you look at that and you say, that seems like something I'd be interested in, then you should give it a try. But if parts of it don't look very good to you, then back off. If you hate collectible card games with a passion, I'm not sure that this is going to change your mind, even though it does have a board. But it will give you an experience that is different than most other board games in the market, and very few games can say that these days. Existenz.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.
Yeah?